This is one of the things that I've actually gotten really good at, because when you have a 200% turnover in the first few years of your business, you kind of have to get good at firing people. And one of the things that when I'm looking for problems in my business, I'm looking for misalignment, I'm looking for malintent, I'm looking for non-performance. If the activity falls into one of those three categories, you handle them slightly differently. So let's talk about the easiest one to deal with. If somebody is having some kind of procedural issue and they're not doing the work the way they're supposed to, the first potentially useful assumption, and again it's an assumption, is that this person is probably not an idiot and they're probably not trying to steal from me. And these are two very important assumptions, because a lot of times as business owners, we take our employees' mistakes or our employees' non-performance very personally. And that's very expensive to do. So the first thing that we probably want to explore in the case that they are not performing procedures to a standard that is in consistency with what you've had as your specification, is you may want to retrain them. You may want to get them to a space where they are given action, they're told how to do something again, and they demonstrate a level of proficiency in the task that they're being asked to do. Now, if for some reason that's not your issue and they're having behavioral problems and they're not behaving the way that they're quote-unquote supposed to be behaving, you have a choice. You can potentially reassign them to another area of work that's still within their unique ability, or you may reassign them to another culturally different division if you've got one. So you may either reassign their duties or reassign them to different people that they're around, because sometimes people have personality conflicts, and that's just life. In the case that reassignment doesn't work and you really just have somebody whose intentions are misaligned with your own, then you may want to remove them. And the way that you do that is you simply recognize that they potentially have the ability to be a great asset, just maybe not for you. They may not be a great asset in your organization. So if you approach the situation with understanding that what you're trying to do is get them to be assigned to an organization for whom they will be a great asset, the firing process transforms itself. So it's not you getting rid of them because they're stupid or lazy or whatever horrible words we sometimes use to describe people that do valuable work for us. Instead, this relationship is not working out. The person who is in that space, when they're not performing, a lot of times they're not happy, they're not engaged, they're not being inspired, and so they get to be found a place or be helped to be pushed in a direction where they get to go do something that they really love and are passionate about. And if that becomes your focus, how you go about firing people becomes a very different experience. So the important detail about all of this is that it has to be very process-driven. You need to know what point you move from retraining to reassigning to removing, and at what point this, it all goes down. Let's talk about the perspective of where your employees' value comes from. It's important that as you go through the firing process, that you maintain the perspective that this person in front of you is a living, breathing, intelligent, capable human being. They may not just be working out for you. And as you go through that, there's a certain level of patience that you have to develop. You recognize that there is value in this human being. There is purpose. There is inspiration. And even if they're being nasty to you, you understand that they're being defensive and emotional because this job means something, and there's some value being defiled if they're being nasty. And if they're not being nasty, if they're being grateful for finally being found that they're not doing well and they just need to go, then you get to provide that relief. A lot of times we lose our perspective on firing employees or people in our world because we confuse the fact that they're not working for us well with the fact that we think that there's something wrong with them. And even if there is something wrong with them, that's not the helpful assumption. You have to, as an employer that's looking to maintain a culture of respect and honor, you get to hold yourself to a different standard where you appreciate who they are, even if they're just less than violently opposed to you and being nasty to you. You get to hold yourself to a different standard and see more. So it is important that you not confuse who they are with what they did or didn't do for you. And maintaining that level of respect and regard and honor has led to exit interviews in which people are crying and hugging me and thanking me for the ability to have worked with me in my company as I take their codes and I take their keys. And it's been a fantastic, wonderful human connection with this person that no longer gets to be a part of your world. And recognize that when you effectively fire somebody, you're doing everyone a favor. You're getting them to be able to be in line with some other opportunity that they get to really shine for. And you have the ability to, a lot of times what will happen is they'll ask for their jobs back or something else. And in that particular instance, if they've already been a cultural deficit to you, you get to kindly say no. You get to say, hey, you know what? With the understanding that I am not desperate, I understand my organization, I understand the value we have, I respect what we're about, you can determine that you never have to act in any kind of desperation at the cost of your company's culture. And as a result of hiring incredibly great people and getting rid of people for whom you get to give an upgrade and upgrade yourself, you preserve and enhance your company's culture. And really, that's what this is about. The art of hiring, maintaining, and firing great employees and team players is really about preserving the culture and the vision that you have as an entrepreneur for the adventure that you're on. And making sure that you've designed that well is really what we're after. So at this point,